Hey folks, howdy, how are we all doing? Before we start, what's Kilt-Man's kilt today? The Stuart Black. This is the Stuart. I love the Stuart. Can you see it? Can you see it? It's a lovely, resplendent, colourful and yet dark variation on the famed Stuart tartans, of which there's about, well, I've got 7 different Stuart tartans, and I know there's more out there. I'll get them. I will find them. Anyway, let me sit down and carry on. So, can you hear that really eerie music playing behind me? That is the original score to Dario Argento's 70s seminal horror masterpiece, Suspiria. The first of his beloved Mothers trilogy, i.e. the Mothers are witches. This film exists in every horror critic, in fact most film critics' top 10 movies of all time. Why? Because it is a lurid masterpiece of colour, visual and oral grandeur, gothic splendour, all-out bloodbath slaughter, absolutely bizarre, hyper-stylised violence and threadbare storytelling, and that infamous bugbear with some people, the bugaboo dubbing, where they're speaking all different languages, but dubbed into English, the words don't fit the lips. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The luminous Jessica Harper played Susie Bannion, an American dance student who travels over to Freiburg in Germany, to this famed Tanz dance academy, where the girls are being picturesquely slaughtered one by one. Why? Because they've all stumbled onto the real secret behind the success of this dance academy. It's a coven of witches. It's a splendid movie. I caught this from a very, very early age, and although a lot of my friends at the time didn't understand or recognise its power or potency, because it was foreign, it was European, it was kind of deemed art house, but didn't matter because the slaughter was incredible, the bloodletting was profound. It ran into a lot of problems with the BBFC and censorship around the world. It's now been the subject of so many essays. I've written some myself. If you care to troll back onto the annals of avforums.com, you'll find yours truly has written reams and reams and reams upon this movie, bestowed upon it various releases over the years on home video. An absolute classic. Literally, the Time Out critic at the time said, "Don't think, just panic," because plot really takes a second seat to the satanic shenanigans that take place. And glorious Jessica Harper as the poor, well, beleaguered Susie Bannion is a dead ringer, or at least she was in the time she made this movie in 1977, a dead ringer for my wife, which played no small part in my attraction to lovely said wife, because her frailness, her angelic, doe-eyed beauty amidst all this carnage makes her so beautifully vulnerable. Anyway, as is the structure of life, all the great things of the past will be remade, rebuilt, reimagined, retooled for modern audiences. This is not always a good idea. But in the remake, the long-touted remake of Suspiria, which we all knew was going to come, it's been on the production slate over the years many, many times with different names attached to it. Finally, it took a art house director, an Italian called Luca, I cannot pronounce his fucking surname, Guadagnino or something like that. Whatever. He did a film called come on, Call Me By My Name. Well, if it's his fucking name, I'll have trouble calling him. But this guy has a lot of hip art house credentials behind him. And the film, originally by Dario Argento, who had come off the back of a slew of giallo movies, giallo being thriller, mask and glove wielding maniacs slicing maidens to death. and kind of whodunits, lots of red herrings. Well, he came off at the back of all those, which had tremendous success worldwide, and Suspiria was an absolute smash. The first of a trilogy. Went on to the film Inferno in 1981, I think it was, which was great, a great movie in its own right. Then we had to wait many, many, many years before the third and concluding chapter of the trilogy came out, Mother of Tears. And a shocking pile of shite that film turned out to be, because Dario Argento sadly reached the pinnacle of fame and glory and talent, and then, whoa, massively, nosedived into pure clag. All his talent seemed to evaporate, and he just lost his mojo. Some would argue at what stage his mojo was lost. I would say Inferno and Opera were the last good films that he actually made, and then there's a load of crap that followed. Anyway, so this film, Suspiria, was bound to be remade. Now, it's already been played at the Venice Film Festival, where it received a standing ovation. I've mentioned these standing ovations a few times. Halloween 2018 got a standing ovation at the Toronto Film Festival. And when I saw the film, the only reason I got to my feet was to fucking get out of there after being bored shitless throughout the entire movie. No, it's okay. It's just not that good. So, pinch of salt with standing ovations these days. But this film, which now runs for 2.5 hours, which is almost an hour longer than the original movie, is a genuine art house, blood-curdling, satanic. I'm struggling to think of another word for it because I haven't seen it yet. It's getting a very spotty release worldwide because of its art house credentials, even though it's based on an absolute masterpiece of horror, which fans worldwide have been clamouring for, and whenever the original gets shown again in cinemas, it's playing to a packed house. Even, the scallies on the street know the name Suspiria now. They do. And when I was a school kid and I used to sing its praises, people go like, what does Suspiria mean? What is it? Is it a horror film? Is it, what, is it, it's Italian. Oh, fuck off then, I don't want to see it. Now, even Joe Scally, every random Joe knows this movie. They may not have seen it, but they know it's renowned, and they know it's got some critical clout to it. So listen to that music. It's bizarre, isn't it? That was a Italian prog rock group, Goblin, the awesomely named Goblin, or the Goblins they were often known as. That soundtrack was in no small part, a huge element to the film's success. Its lurid visuals, its technicolor dreamscape, its almost fairy tale atmosphere of dreams within, surreal landscapes, and absolutely visceral balls out violence, horrifying violence, and such intensity that you can barely breathe. You watch it now, it still packs a punch. It really does. So, Luca Guadagnino, Godzilla, God fucking hell, God help me. Big shoes to fill. But he has his own power, his own vision for this movie. The great Jessica Harper, who played Susie Bannion in the original, does return to this film in a cameo appearance. I don't know what character she plays. You've also got Dakota Johnson, who plays... She's taking the role of the American dancer who comes to... Well, it's Berlin now. The first film was made in 1977. This film is set in 1977. So it takes in the grey, drab palette of many films that show or depict Berlin of that era. Grey, concrete, stone and rain, and just, drained of colour and vitality. It's a Germany, a Berlin that's bisected, of course, with the Berlin Wall. It's also rife with subtext about terrorism, because that was rife at the time. Is it the Red Army faction, or whoever the hell they were? Baader-Meinhof, these terrorist groups were around and prevalent at the time. So it takes all this into consideration, and apparently really layers the film with the era of which it's set. Whereas the first film was a lurid, garish, technicolor phantasmagoria. This is not at all. This is sepia toned and earthy, but still visually, acute and determined to strike you with its imagery. This is my favourite bit of music from the movie. This foreshadows one of the most blood-curdling double murders you're ever going to see in cinema. Just awesome. So, in the new film, the plot is essentially the same. Young American student, played by Dakota Johnson, goes over to a Berlin dance academy, which of course is run by a coven of witches, led, I presume, by Tilda Swinton. Yeah, the great androgynous Tilda Swinton. Androgynous, particularly in this film, because she plays several roles, including, and this is no spoiler because they've made a big point of this, she even plays an old man, an old sort of black magic occult psychiatrist, who I think is based on a character in the original movie, although I don't yet know quite how that figures in. And I've seen the imagery of her as this old man, and I've also heard people who've seen it saying that it doesn't look very good. But it's just like Tilda Swinton wearing a rubbery mask of an old man and affecting a really stupid voice and a really stupid walk, which she seems to think old men walk like. Well, I haven't seen it yet, so the jury's out on that one. The film, as lengthy as it is meant to be in 6 acts and with an epilogue as well. So it's told in a very novel sort of fashion. She arrives at this school, and again, girls are being, slaughtered. Sacrificial lambs or whatever. I think the theme of this one is that they're training these girls. Some who find out too much get slaughtered straight away, but they're trying to get this ensemble, this troupe, to perform a dance which is almost like a ritual, which will allow Mother Suspiriatum. There's 3 witches: Mother of Tears, Mother of Sighs, Mother of Whispers, and Suspiria is the Mother of Sighs. But they're all connected, obviously, and I think the theme of it is to build up to this finale, this crescendo of a dance, which will unleash her full powers. Again, I could be wrong. I've not yet seen the film. And as I said before, it's getting a very spotty, horrible release around the world. I've just been looking at cinemas around me which are going to be showing it, and there ain't that many. But the Fact Cinema in Liverpool will be showing it towards the back end of November. So I'm going to be there. By the time I get to do a review on YouTube, there's already reviews of it now. There's going to be a whole slew of reviews. But if I get to a showing or a secret screening or whatever, however Kilt-Man manages to do it, I will report back with a full verdict on this movie. Also worth mentioning is the first film's success was in part to its unique soundtrack, as you're hearing right now. It's freakish, and bizarre and wonderful. Well, they haven't brought Goblin back to score this. It is now it's Tom York of Radiohead, who has scored a fair few, I think, TV episodes in his time, but also has a unique sensibility to him, and he's not a strange choice to do this. I have just got the full score. The full score came out at midnight, just a few hours ago, and it's a lengthy score, and I've listened to it twice. Do I like it? I like bits of it. It's not the score I hoped for. It's not the score that I expected. But there are certainly cues, and there's some very epic long, 14-minute long cues in this, some of them, or one of them, which are powerful and create that atmospheric sort of witchcrafty occult sensibility and ambience. But there's some of the songs in there, there's a whole lot of weirdness. As a cohesive whole, I don't know, as concept album, yeah, it kind of works. Does it work in the movie? Well, obviously, I can't say right now. But I'm looking forward to it. I know that the finale, this is a violent movie as well, although the violence seems to get lost in, because there's a downside to this, it's an art house film first and foremost. with horror in there. Whereas the first film was a devoutly bona fide horror film, but with art house elements in its visuals and its production design and its general aesthetic. It was creative, it was experimental. This film takes that side of it to the fore and ramps it up, to 1,000 degrees. And the horror does creep in, from what I've heard. But this whole thing does culminate in what's meant to be one hell of an extended sequence of pure body horror. So I'm presuming this final dance, this troupe will reenact this sacrificial ritual dance and become a writhing, contorting mass of latex, CGI and protoplasm, and this will bring forth the full powers for the witches, unless it can be thwarted by any good girl or heroine of the piece. And that's the other thing as well. The original movie was very, very female dominated. There's only a couple of roles for blokes in the movie. And this film, this remake or reimagining, takes the same sort of stance. Female politics really come to the forefront. It's a woman's movie in that respect. And hats off to it, because that's the theme, that's the story of it. It's women striving for power, women losing their innocence, losing their lives, and women's self-discovery. So this promises to be a film of multiple layers, lots of subtext, lots of textures, lots of profound weirdness. Some don't like it, from what I've heard. Some adore it. It certainly seems to be appealing more to the art house crowd than to the horror fraternity. And I'm a die-hard, horror hound. But I don't mind art house movies as well, especially if they have leanings towards genre. And this should be a recipe, made in hell. I'm looking forward to it, folks. I really am. I hope it delivers. I want to see Jessica Harper again, because in no small way did she shape my life, because I married a girl that looked just like her, and possibly the reason why I was attracted to her is because she reminded me so much of the luminous, wide-eyed, vulnerable, but also feisty heroine of Suspiria. So I hope it does her justice at least, and I'm looking forward to it. Not much more I can say until I've seen the film, but you'll get a full report on it when I finally do. So, Suspiria. What do you guys think? Have you seen the original film? Do you love it? Are you haunted by it? Are you looking forward to this remake? Are you going in with a completely clean slate? You've no idea about the original, but you've seen the posters for this. You think, oh, that looks really intriguing. What could it be about? What will it deliver? Well, be prepared, because apparently it is tedious in long stretches, but absolutely shocking and jam-packed with disturbing imagery. So, there's a yin and a yang to this. Boring bits, and yeehaw, blood-curdling ghoulishness as well. Hey, I'm up for this ride. Are you guys? So, audition soon for Suspiria. In the meantime, folks, train, rehearse, get those moves perfect, because it's going to be a ballet of blood. Take care, and I'll see you later.